Hello, darlings. You're welcome to Z-Star Africa, your home of sizzling drama recaps. Let's dive deep into the heartbreaks, reunions, and shocking twists in Janick's upcoming episodes. Moments that will leave you at the very edge of your seats. After 5 years of disappearance, Janick reappears under a new name. But fate brings her face to face with Anirudh once again, in an encounter that changes everything. From Janick's hidden truth coming to light, to Arshi's emotional breakdown, and Apu's heartbreaking final moments, every second burns with tension and emotion. Like and turn on your notifications to stay updated with your favorites. It only gets more interesting. Let's dive in. It all begins with the arrival of Anirudh at Simulboni, a remote rural village, with his friend Anirudh to inspect a piece of land for a new factory project. The villagers, led by Parashar, notice the outsiders and grow suspicious. When Anirudh explains that they have government approval to build the factory, along with plans for a hospital and a school, the villagers refuse to believe him. Parashar stands firm, saying their farmland is enough for them, and orders Anirudh to leave immediately. Tension rises as Anirudh pleads with them to think about their children's future, but his words only spark more anger. Parashar orders his men to break Anirudh's legs. Just when things are about to get violent, a familiar voice calls out from behind, telling them to stop. Anirudh turns and freezes in disbelief. Standing before him is Jhanak, who now goes by the name Newton. Anirudh calls her Janick, leaving the crowd shocked. Parashar confronts Newton, demanding to know the truth. When she admits she knows Anirudh, Parashar grows furious and orders Anirudh's team to leave, but insists that Anirudh must stay behind. Once the crowd disperses, Anirudh pleads to talk to Newton alone. He tells her he has been searching for her for 5 long years, but Newton denies being Janick. Despite her denial, Anirudh's emotions spill over. He can't bring himself to leave after finding her again. Seeing his determination, Newton finally agrees to talk and leads him away from the scene. Meanwhile, in the city, Mimi meets Anirudh at a cafe. He confesses that he still loves her and never married anyone else because he couldn't forget her. But Mimi, now successful, feels his love has returned only because of her fame. Back at home, Jimli apologizes to Apu and the family for her past mistakes. Apu forgives her, reminding her that family means starting over without grudges. They all hug, leaving the air filled with happiness. Back in Simulboni, Newton takes Anirudh to the guest house and tells him he can stay there. But Anirudh refuses to stay silent. He wants to talk to her, to understand why she's pretending to be someone else. Newton stays distant and tells him to leave as soon as possible. When he asks how she ended up in this village, she says her life has completely changed and there's no point talking about the past. Anirudh, still hurt, asks if she plans to keep wounding him like this forever. Newton changes the subject and asks about Arshi. When Anirudh says Arshi still lives with him, Newton smiles faintly, masking her emotions, and says she'll bring him food. But Anirudh stops her, asking why she's treating him like a stranger. Newton reminds him that in this village, he is a stranger. Anirudh admits that things with Arshi are not what they seem and that they live together without love. Newton remains calm and says it's none of her concern. Anirudh then asks her to return with him to Kolkata. She smiles sadly and asks if he plans to keep her in another house again. Before leaving, she tells him she has something precious that belongs to him and promises to bring it back soon. Back home, the atmosphere is light as Apu and Jimli prepare for the haldi ceremony. The family teases and argues playfully, showing love beneath the noise. But Apu's tiredness worries everyone, hinting that all may not be well with her health. Later, Parashar questions Newton about her connection with Anirudh. She says he's just a relative and promises to make him leave soon. Parashar, feeling guilty for threatening Anirudh, decides he should apologize. Newton then takes food for Anirudh, with a secret resolve to finally tell him the truth about Moon. Elsewhere, at Apu's house, everyone is busy preparing for Jimli's wedding. Bablu assures the family that Apu's weakness is normal after her recent illness, but Lalan can't help worrying. He says Apu refused to go to the hospital until Jimli's marriage is over. As they talk, Apu suddenly faints, leaving everyone in shock. Lalan catches her just in time. When she regains consciousness, she says she's fine, but Lalan remains deeply worried as they wait for her test results. At the guest house, Newton serves food to Anirudh, who confesses he wants to stay there permanently. Newton tells him it's impossible. She wants no ties with him anymore. But Anirudh refuses to let go of the past, reminding her of their love and their memories. Newton tells him to forget everything, but he says his heart won't allow it. As she tries to leave, Anirudh stops her, asking if she never missed him. Newton replies quietly that sometimes love means sacrifice, not possession. Anirudh, hurt, says he can't live with this pain, but Newton tells him they both must accept their destiny. Anirudh asks Newton what it was she wanted to tell him. With a trembling voice, Newton reveals she lives with a child. When Anirudh asks if she adopted the child, Newton shakes her head. She tells him about the day she left him 5 years ago and how she met someone at the bus stand that changed everything. Finally, Newton tells Anirudh that Moon is his and Arshi's daughter. Anirudh is stunned, unable to believe what he's hearing. Newton assures him it's the truth and explains how Parashar saved her and Moon years ago, giving them shelter in the village. She tells Anirudh that it's time for Moon to be with her real father, even though letting her go will break her heart. Anirudh thanks Newton for protecting Moon all these years, but admits the situation is too complicated. Still, he believes fate brought him here to find his daughter. Newton agrees, saying Moon deserves both her parents' love, and promises to bring her to him the next day. Just then, Parashar knocks on the door. When Newton opens it, Anirudh tells him he'll leave the next morning. Parashar agrees and surprisingly supports his plan to build a school in the village. After they leave, Anirudh learns from Shankar about Newton and Parashar's supposed relationship, which leaves him even more confused, filled with anger and disappointment. He feels Newton deceived him and decides not to meet her again. Yet fate pulls them together once more when he arrives at her house. Newton gently tells Moon that she's going to live with her father in the city to have a better life. But the little girl refuses, crying that she wants to stay with her mother. After they leave, Newton faces the villagers and says if they think she's wrong, she will leave the village forever. Some women defend her, saying she did what any mother would do. Parashar, torn between anger and sympathy, asks why she didn't go with Anirudh herself. Newton quietly says she isn't his wife and that she needs time, because after losing Moon, she has nothing left but silence, and quietly walks into the house. Hours later, Anirudh reaches home with Moon. Arshi is surprised and asks who the little girl is. Moon innocently says she wants to go back to her village because her parents live there. When other family members gather, they notice Moon's silence and sadness. Mrinalini gently asks about her parents, and Moon replies that she misses her mother and wants to go to her. Shabunkar then questions Anirudh, assuming Moon is an orphan he's planning to adopt. But Anirudh shocks everyone by revealing that Moon is actually his and Arshi's daughter. The entire family is left speechless. Arshi can't believe what she's hearing and demands an explanation. Anirudh tells the truth. Moon is their child, and he found her in the village. When Anjana and Chotan ask how he knows this, Anirudh admits that Jhanak told him, and that he has proof of Moon's identity. Arshi grows bitter and mocks Jhanak. Anirudh explains that Jhanak now lives as Newton and is married to a village man, so he won't meet her again. Chotan expresses his wish to talk to her, but Anirudh says that's not possible. Arshi accuses Anirudh of hiding something, while Mrinalini urges her to stop. Anirudh recalls his intimate moment with Jhanak, how he had held her close, kissed her forehead, and they both gave in to their emotions. Back in the present, he insists to Arshi that he has told her everything, though his heart still carries the weight of what happened. That's a wrap, fams. See you in the next. Much love.